If Big Show were around in the 70s and 80s, do you think he would have been a bigger star than Andre because he can talk and work better?
No.
Okay.
I like Paul. He did great work for us. He is an exceptional athlete. In the past few years, he has learned to work to the point where even if he did more athletic things than Andre, the point is, it's like the Rock and Roll Express following the Fabulous Ones, or the Fantastics following the Rock and Roll Express. First giant is always over more. First rock and roll team is always over more. First person that does something is always over more. And Andre, the difference between he and Big Show is that he never, first of all, Big Show had the surgery to prevent his pituitary gland from going haywire, early on in life.
Yeah, he had the tumor removed. Yeah.
He got that big, but still he looks like a normal human being. Andre, the surgery wasn't available. He never had it, blah, blah, blah. The fucking head and the hands and the feet and just the girth of the man. And the fact that he was able to, Big Show was basically spawned on national television. And Big Show, for most of his career, was seen by the entire country. Andre worked in Europe for years before he was a star, and then went to Montreal.
He was Géant Ferret?
Yeah, actually, even before that, because he was just a fucking schlub in Europe in the 60s. But he was big, and then he went to Montreal, and he broke out as Jean Ferret, John the Man of Iron, in the early 70s. But he was working with Don Leo Jonathan, some of the best workers in the business and in a territory. And then he made his encroachments into the United States, working for Verne, first of all, because the Minnesota territory was close to Canada. And then Vince Sr. heard about him and signed him and put him on the first North American tour of every territory in 1974. And he won all the handicap matches and all the battle royals, and he was allowed to be brought along. By the time that Andre the Giant was the biggest attraction in wrestling, starting in 1974, he'd been a pro for 10 years. Big Show's first professional match was on pay-per-view for WCW. And as a matter of fact, Larry Sharp, who had found him, came to me and said, "Hey, I got this fucking guy, and he's fucking as big as Andre, and would Vince be interested?" And by the time I was able to go to Vince and say, "Will you be interested?" WCW Hogan had already found out about him and signed him and took him to Atlanta and hid him in the fucking power plant and trained him a little bit, and they had their first match on pay-per-view. So Andre was able to understand the business psychologically and also understand how to work inside the ring from working night in, night out for years before the burden was on him to be a big draw. And for the people who remember Andre in the 80s as the WWF guy that was practically immobile and never did anything, they never saw Andre in the 70s like I did, when he was throwing drop kicks, when he was 7 feet tall or close to, but he was fucking not even 400 pounds, when he was just a huge guy and he was athletic. And then even up to the early 80s in Japan, when he'd worked with Stan Hansen and guys like that, the Andre that you saw in the ring was worlds ahead of the Andre you saw in the United States, because that's the way Vince Sr. wanted him to work, like a giant. Never leave your feet, don't do shit, just kill people. So Andre overall, psychologically and as an athlete, was a better worker than Big Show, simply because he got the opportunity to learn to work in smaller places with less spotlight. Then he was a veteran. Then he became the biggest draw in wrestling. Big Show, probably a better athlete, certainly looked more like a human being than Andre did, but that worked against him in terms of being a fucking scary fucking giant. So there'll never be another Andre. The business will dictate that there can never be another Andre, regardless of anybody's size or whatever. It's not possible to do what Andre did in this business today or in the future.
And he was in one of my favorite movies. He was in The Princess Bride. He was
Princess
wonderful.
Bride. But yeah, and once again, Andre, not like Big Show tried, but nobody could outdrink Andre. Nobody could out fucking fight Andre. Nobody ever tried Andre. Bad News Allen wouldn't try Andre.
I think that seems wise. He also spawned one of the funniest things I think I've ever heard you say. You said something about seeing a picture of him or with a rat, and you said it looked like a lion mauling a puppy.
Yes, because Andre was quite a ladies' man also, especially in Montreal. Now think about this. He's fucking 27 years old. He's 7 feet tall. He's 400 pounds, and he is the star of the local, a Frenchman, the star of the local wrestling promotion in Montreal that's drawing nearly 20,000 people with regularity to the forum and lives in Montreal. You think he wasn't getting some pussy? Fuck.
He was covered in it. I mean, literally, I've seen pictures of him with like 3 girls on each arm, just holding them up. Like, good heavens. I have one question about Big Show, and this is something I don't understand, or maybe just the rules have changed. His current finisher is a closed hand punch. Is that a thing now? I thought you were supposed to keep your hands open.
Well, that's back when there used to be rules to wrestling. I'm sure the thought process is, well, my God, this guy's 7'2" and 450 pounds, and he's the world's largest athlete. And if he can't punch you and knock you out with one punch, who fuck could? But they're overlooking that a closed fist punch is illegal in the rules of professional wrestling. But since it's been so many years since there actually were rules in professional wrestling, when I was a kid, if a heel broke the rule, you immediately knew it because it was ingrained. These are the rules of wrestling. No closed fist punches. You can't throw a guy over the top rope. You can't do a fucking pile driver. Throwing a guy into the ring post is an automatic disqualification. There's no outside interference, blah, blah, blah. The rules of professional wrestling as a sport. Sports entertainment has no rules because everybody just wants to go out there and shit, whatever the fuck large goddamn turds they can to get people oh my God, that smells. But when I was a fan, you instantly knew when the heels were breaking the rules, and you would then scream at the referee, "You missed it. He broke the fucking rule." Now there are no rules. Henceforth, there's no way to get heat, which of course there's no heat because everybody knows it's phony to begin with. So why get mad about something that people are telling fucking people what to do to begin with? So wrestling's fucked.
Yeah, but I have to figure if somebody like me, the kind of fan that I am, still green and all that kind of stuff, is asking that question, there have to be a lot of people asking that question. But I guess,
sure, there's a lot of people asking that question, but nobody's going to answer it.
Yeah, that's true because we're all just marks and silly and not worth paying attention to.
As Bill Watts used to say, if you can't goddamn follow the fucking rules and or break the rules behind the referee's back, what kind of credibility do you have as a performer in front of the fucking fans? The answer is none. Nothing. Nobody has any credibility, and so therefore people are watching it as entertainment to scoff at and laugh at. And that's what sports entertainment has done for wrestling. If there are no rules, you can't break the rules. If you can't break the rules, you can't get heat if you're a heel. If you can't break the rules, you can't protect a babyface who would have won the match if not for the other motherfucker broke the rule. But guess what? There's no fucking rules. You see why I'm fucking crazy and stay away from this shit as much as possible?